Hey everyone, thank you again for joining another episode of the Liverpool Connection podcast. Pub chat, we're at BD Riley's. Come check us out whenever you're across the pond. Del Cross will buy you a pint. But anyway, before we get started, I want you to like, subscribe, get your notifications because after this episode, you may not like us because we're going to get deep into what is ailing Liverpool. It may be a little controversial, and you may not want to listen to us ever again after this. But anyway, so do it before the episode. That way you can come back and do it. So with me, we got Glenn, Julian, and our mate from Ireland, Del Cross. So kick it off. What's ailing the team, man?
Well, it's shite, isn't it? It's been, and it honestly, what is really frustrating is about this season is it's not a surprise as well. That's the thing. Even though we had such a, and it's easy also to forget. Hold on, what a fantastic season that we had last season. We nearly won everything, right? We got so close. But we knew going into the season that we needed reinforcements. We knew that midfield was a big problem, right? Hold on. Okay, so let's stop right here. You didn't think going into this season that we needed midfielders, and we have players in our midfield that either needed replacements or um, hadn't been the quality we expected them to be, i.e., Naby Keita, or we had an aging midfield. You didn't think we needed midfielders going into the season. Is that correct, Glenn Cooley?
So the key word for which I know a lot of Liverpool supporters don't really get is perspective. Perspective on everything. The last year, the last couple of years, perspective is a very very important word. The start of the season, when we had everybody fit, everyone was available, and we had about a million midfielders at that time. I didn't want us to sign a midfielder just to sign a midfielder. I've got no interest in signing Tillemans just because he's a midfielder and he can score a couple of nice goals. No interest in that. We said we done one in that. We did one after the Charity Shield when we've just battered Man City, and we were going. We actually look like in a really good position right here. So us to sign a midfielder who was actually going to help us, yeah. Us to sign a midfielder just to sign one, I wasn't interested in. Now we can all sit here now. We can all sit here now where we're absolutely broken and players' form and all that stuff fell off a cliff. But I still don't think you can say it's that big of a surprise. We nearly won every single trophy last year. We nearly won every single trophy last year.
Obvious that going
What?
into the season we needed another one, possibly two midfielders. Because yes, everyone fit, great. Yeah, our midfield looks good, but it was fucking guaranteed that was not going to happen with the midfielder options that we have, and that has come true as well. And it went back. Also, it was the same thing with centre backs when we didn't replace Lovren, we didn't bring an option in, and we thought, okay, we need another centre back, and we didn't get one. We waited to get Canate. We waited a season,
But I'd argue,
and it hurt us. Yes, it was unlucky to get the injuries to Virgil and Gomez, but it was fucking obvious we needed another centre back at the beginning of that season.
Again, at the start of the season, we had Carvalho, who was thought as like a midfielder, as like a 10, and we had Harvey Elliott, who was thought. Now, listen, again, right now, everything's absolutely shite, so everyone's saying we should have signed one. And at the time, yeah, if we could get someone who was really good and could help us, yeah, definitely add them. But we did have that. We did have extra players that we didn't have at the start of the season. Go on, I know you want to jump in.
I don't know. I agree with both of you, to be honest. I agree with what you're saying. We have a shit ton of bodies. The problem is I think it goes back to this. We haven't signed a midfielder since 2020. So we have the last the Thiago is the last midfielder we signed, and I think that no matter what, no matter whether we were top of the league by 10 points, I don't think that that's right. I think we took care of centre half positions. We took care of plenty of cover up front. We've signed plenty of lads. We signed a couple of young fellas, Harvey Elliott, Carvalho, but they're not for right. They're not for right now. And I I think that a club like Liverpool shouldn't be going 4 years without signing a top class midfielder. That's one thing I would say. I don't think that that's the only problem as to why we're shit. I think something perspective, as you mentioned a little bit earlier. I think one of the major things that's been overlooked by a lot of Liverpool fans and probably a lot of people is that team, boys, is on the go and on the proper go for the last 4, 5, 6 seasons. Last season, every single game of the year, every single game they played counted, right up to the very last one. And I think that they're not robots, they're not machines, they're human beings. That takes its toll, mentally and physically. And I think they I mean, it doesn't take a genius. They look jaded. They look tired. We're not even halfway through the season, and you're looking at them going, these guys look leggy. And this isn't a criticism. It's not. I love those guys. They've given everything for the shirt, for the crest. Great bunch of lads, but I feel like they could have been helped by a little bit of refreshing in the engine room.
You know, and just to remind everyone, when we signed Thiago, it was really against type. He was too old. He didn't play the same style that we did. Um, and so when we brought him in, it was a surprise. I loved it because I love the guy. He's a class player, right? And he's shown his class since he's been here, and probably he's been our best midfielder this year. But the thing is, you're right. It may not be saying much, but he is. He's been the best midfielder. You know, we went all in on Tuchemini in the summer, and when he did the about face right at the very end to go to Real Madrid instead of us, we going back to Klopp not wanting or whoever not wanting just to get a body in there that could be a runner. To Glenn's point, you know, looking for the for the right person when we all would like to have had somebody. We got unlucky between the Community Shield and the beginning of the season. Half our team got injured. You know, so you can't legislate for that. You can legislate for long term, like this guy's not going to be there the whole season. But when it all happens at the same time, that's unlucky. When Matip, Gomez, and Van Dijk all got hurt at the same time, you know what can you do about that?
And Chris, you're right. Like mentally, last season to get so close to winning everything, that's got to take a lot out of you. That is. We were so close, and I mean, you imagine being a player, being in that position, and then you go into the next season thinking, "Oh, got to do it again."
I actually thought that was going to happen. I actually thought what happened this season was going to happen the season we actually won it. I thought that remember we pushed City right to the last day of the season, 90 something points. We got done on the line, or not really done on the line, but we never got ahead of City. I actually thought that was I was like couldn't be more surprised that we went and won the league that year after. I thought that took a monumental effort from the lads to be able to lift themselves and go win the league after that. And I think honestly, I think they're just tired, and it's not a criticism. It's just like everything. Things go stale, and it looks like that midfield and that kind of engine room of that team, of that like core team that Klopp put together, is just gone a little bit stale, gone a little bit leggy. They look tired to me, and they need a little bit of help. And I will say this, just to go back on something, and not to bring up old wounds, but we never replaced Gini Wijnaldum, and that's a massive problem.
So I just want to say on that actually, because I think it sort of comes round to it, like I was saying before, if I said in the summer, obviously we didn't know what was going to happen with injuries and whatever, that if Bellingham was coming and if Bellingham was going to happen the next year, I sort of would have been okay with this season. Obviously, we didn't know how many players were going to get injured, etc., etc. But going back to your point, and I messaged him about this yesterday. Last season, Harvey Elliott got injured after about 4 games, and he played every game for Liverpool. He got injured, and he pretty much didn't play. By the way, I'm not putting this on Harvey Elliott because I think he's I think he's mustard. I think he's such a good player, and he's genuinely sound kid. But our team has become a little bit different in that midfield, hasn't it? With like a Thiago and a sort of Harvey Elliott, Harvey's played more games than anyone centre midfield for Liverpool this year, and you do wonder whether that midfield has become a little bit like that. And if Harvey doesn't get injured last year, does he play more games for Liverpool playing there? So I just wonder. They've probably looked at it in the summer because we're saying we've not signed a midfielder for so long. I think they've looked at it and they went, Harvey Elliott's going to play, Curtis is going to play. I think they've sort of thought they're going to be ready, and obviously they haven't. They haven't been, and they've been unlucky with injuries and stuff. But it is genuinely quite interesting what this Liverpool midfield is going to look like in 6 months, 18 months time.
Yeah. Just want to add something to what you're saying about being leggy. I think if you really go back to Champions League at the end of last season, you can kind of see we were leggy then. We the graphic came out where they played 60 games in that season, 7 more than any other team. It, and with the small squad that Klopp likes to have, it just has to take a toll, And I just I think it just carried over. Just not only the mental part of it, but also just not a lot of time in between. Because remember, it was a compressed preseason because of the World Cup, only a couple weeks of vacation, and we had the podcast at the very beginning after the Fulham game that when we mentioned that Liverpool didn't look like they're ready to be at the races yet,
They're still not.
and they haven't been there.
And we have to talk about the biggest piece of that midfield, probably the most important part of that midfield, the person that's struggling the most, that's Fabinho. And Fabinho, that role, the number 6, sitting in front of the back four, almost directing the play. I mean, Fabinho's been shocking. I mean, he's been shocking all season. And he doesn't have really any competition, like genuine competition. For there is no one that can play that role. Henderson can sit in there, but he's not good enough for it. Fabinho.
The other week, and he was shit.
Fabinho is a huge problem.
Why doesn't Klopp do like he did when Fabinho first got in? He had the training wheels with Hendo sitting next to him. Why didn't he protect Fabinho? He's putting him on the island, knowing he's struggling, and he doesn't offer him any help at all.
Because
why can't they play a double pivot just to get him back?
Because we're set with the
You don't have to be set with that lineup.
Okay, so earlier in the season we changed the formation. We went from a 4-3-3, then we went to a 4-2. We did a 4-4-2. We did a 4-2-3-1, right? And it didn't work. We tried that. That didn't work, and that I think was mainly to help Nunes as that one. That's his best position, right? That didn't work, and then we went back to a 4-3-3 before the World Cup, but we had Firmino was fit, which is massive for us as well. When he's not fit, it's huge. And we had Nunes on the left, and then it worked. And then since the World Cup, we've stuck to the 4-3-3, right? But with Nunes through the middle, but Fabinho continues to be a huge problem for us.
Tell you what, I'll tell you one thing. Just 1 second. If I could pick one position that I would not want to play for Liverpool right now, it's defensive midfield. It's number 6, because the actual pressure. I'm not sticking with Fabinho. I don't think he's been good at all. But the pressure from forward positions is absolutely nowhere near the same.
Well, that's
and then
you use Mane.
Yeah, and then you got Firmino, and you've got Jota as well. Jota does press really well. But Fabinho at times is playing centre mid. Is playing centre mid for Liverpool on his bill. He's on his Todd playing centre mid.
You know
Like,
who he reminds me of a really bad.
You
Remember Carlton Palmer?
No, mate.
He reminds me of Carlton Palmer.
No.
That's Fabinho. In fact, he's probably worse than Carlton Palmer.
Nah.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be an outlier here. He's been dreadful. I think he's been dreadful, but I think it's been amplified by the lack of support that he has in front of him. I think we've all played a little bit, and if the lads aren't running in front of you, especially in those defensive positions, you're in trouble. And I don't think he's the only one that suffered from that. I think Trent has suffered from that. I think Virgil has suffered from that, because they're being pulled into little areas that they're not used to going to. because lads in front of them aren't running. And this is a thing. And I text you. I can't remember. I may say fucking nonsense here because I'm not 100% sure of the game. I think it was the Leeds game that I text you something I seen on Sky Sports that I couldn't get over. Leeds, I'm pretty sure it was Leeds. Leeds outran Liverpool by 11k. Now, when has that ever happened at Klopp team? Never. Every bit of success that Liverpool has had under Klopp has been built around outworking, outrunning, outpressing your opposition.
Fucking hell, this microphone's getting fucking binned in it. In some ways, though, do you not think that goes back to the sort of question? And don't get me wrong, you can sort of be any type of player. You should be able to run and sprint and stuff like that. But the type of player that we are now, sort of like Harvey, Thiago, like even the forward players and stuff. Do you think there's a little bit in that, in the way that we're sort of trying to play? But you can't play the same. You can't play the same way, can you?
You're hitting the nail on the head. So now you start opening the can of worms and you start looking at the boss and start looking at Klopp and going, Klopp, you have a different set of tools here now that you need to probably work with a little bit differently. And maybe we're giving the players a bit too much stick and a little bit too much attention, where maybe the attention should be a little bit turned to Klopp. And is he a little bit too rigid in what he does? And is because he had that in the beginning, had a little bit of that criticism where it was like plan A, no real plan B. And is that now starting to bubble with that? He's got a different set of players, he's got a different set of style, but our style really hasn't adapted the way it should to the types of players he has.
So that's a
now.
great segue, right?
Let me add something before you segue on your segue.
Oh, I won't be segue. Don't worry.
You know, one name you guys haven't mentioned is the loss of Luis Diaz. I think has been a major part of our struggles this season. Remember, he practically ran that whole left side. He plays in the wing. He's coming in the midfield. But, I'm sorry.
We were shite when we had them as well, though.
No, we were shy. He got injured like he was like got hurt in the third game, man. He got hurt early on, man.
Anyway, we were still shit when we had them. He was good. He was shit.
Yeah, he was good, but I mean, we missed that energy that he brought to the team, and Jota too. But I really think the way Luis Diaz, when he came to the team back in last January, really solidified that left hand side. Him and Robbo had that connection going on, and they just knew how to play with each other. And I think just not having a steady left winger on that side has really been detrimental to the team, overall.
So on that, yes, Diaz was very good. Whether it worked for the team as a whole, I don't know. I think you're 100% right. We struggled. Diaz was the best player at the beginning of the season, but the rest of the team, we still weren't performing. Back to your point, the important segue, I think the style of player we have signed has changed. I think the style of football we are playing has changed. And this then links into the growing influence of Pep Linders, which apparently was a big reason that Michael Edwards left, and how more of the transfer responsibility was wanted by Klopp and Linders. But if I look at this team now, it's not that pressing team of Klopp. It's not the high energy team of It's not the high energy team of Klopp. It's more technical, including starting with Thiago. The players we have signed is a different type of player, where we've gone from the high press, the high energy. Every player pretty much that we have signed in the past few years has been a very technical player, which I'm not surprised that we're not running as much as we used to, because our style of play, the way we're playing games, is very different. It's not just players being lazy. It's not just players being tired. It's not just players being elder. This is a specific tactic of what we're doing here. And there's been a lot of talk about Linders this past week, mainly brought on by Jamie Carragher, that spoke about this, and he was the one that brought up about Thiago being the last midfielder we signed. But that is my question to all of you. What do you feel about this? Is this a different style at Liverpool? Is this something where Klopp is maybe stepping back a little bit, is giving more responsibility to Pep? Thoughts?
No, I think I find it a bit quite funny that Klopp's just decided this year. Yeah, do you know what? Should we start playing a few more of these technical lads? Like back to my point before, if Harvey Elliott doesn't get injured after 4 games last year, he might play more. He might just play more. Also, this idea that we don't press more. Well, just seeing the point there. Jota's out. Diaz has been out. They were pressing pretty well last year, weren't they? Do you know what I mean? I just think perspective, like I said to you at the start, I think it's a very important thing. Like what you're saying, naturally, there's a burnout. There's a burnout from what happened the year before. Now, could you have said we could have got one more or two more in, simply just to fresh up whoever they are, wherever they are, and you could maybe have said that just to have different people going in and challenging people. Yeah, you probably could have said that, but I don't think. I think this Pep Linders thing's been made well more of something than what it is. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. They're gonna bang on about his book next and say that he's writing a book and he's getting involved in that and he's doing this and he's doing that. I just find it all the shite, to be honest with you. If I'm honest.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on that. Pep Linder stuff, I forget about that. So I think that's all. Yeah, I'm not having that. But to go back to your point, though, I'll ask you this question. So I think that this summer we're going to be in a situation where we're going to need. How many midfielders are we going to need to sign this summer? Because how many are just going to either out of contract or we're going to sell?
They're all out of contract and Melo's going to leave, isn't he?
That's 4 right there.
Yeah, so you're going to be left. You're going to be left with Jordan Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago, Harvey Elliott, and Jones. I don't like. I think he's another fella there that you're gonna. They probably can get a few quid for him. So he's probably one of the ones that's going to go in the summer.
A minimum 2 midfielders.
Yeah. So to go back to the initial thing that we were talking about. I think to go back to the initial, at the very start of this conversation about bringing people in, it was obvious that I think it was obvious that we needed people, just for the fact that you don't want to be bringing in 2 or 3 lads in one summer. So, I think there was a little.
So, something in that as well, like with the Keita one. Like, with the Keita one and with his injury record and with his contract going down, how are we in this situation again? Like our transfer business is ridiculous, isn't it? But how are we in a situation now where we've signed a lad for 50 million or whatever it was, and he's going on a free, and his injuries.
Sell him in the summer and then he got hurt.
Well, maybe, but I mean, if that's the case,
Sometime it's going to happen.
It's going to happen sometimes. What?
It's going to happen. There's nothing you can really.
No. Hang on a minute. It's not just going to happen sometime. I'll give you 3 names: Emre Can, Gini Wijnaldum, and Naby Keita. They've all left on a free. They've all 3 of them will leave on a free.
Well, I was okay with all of those leaving apart from Gini. Gini leaving on a free was an absolute disaster. We should have kept him. We should have done.
Do you know, the actual ironic thing about Wijnaldum going is that he's injured now at Roma, which is unfortunate. But even when he went to PSG, he barely played, and it's a sort of. I think there was a case from Liverpool's point of view was he's going to break, so we need to get rid of him before he breaks.
Well, he doubled his salary too. They weren't going to double his salary.
No. But I don't know. Should we move on then? Are Liverpool going to sign Jude? Jude Bellingham? Because I feel like.
And he wouldn't, even if we sign him in January, he wouldn't fix the issues that we have.
He's not going to sign him in January anyway.
Right. I'm just saying. Right? Hypothetically, if we sign him in January, that still would not fix the issues that we have right now. There's bigger issues than that.
Go on.
Give him the mic.
Can we turn this around before the summer?
No.
Will we improve?
No.
Will our performances get better without adding any other people this January besides Gakpo?
No.
No. Ask Glenn first.
I think
about it.
I think it comes down to the manager a little bit. I feel like what you're saying before. I feel like could change something. Maybe we play 4-2-3-1. We'd be a bit more solid. I think it's that. Um,
We're halfway through the season. He hasn't done it.
no, I know he hasn't.
It's been as clear as the nose of his face.
But now it's gonna. I mean, you look at the schedule going into February. It's gonna be a nightmare.
So it goes back to him being stubborn, right?
I would say.
I think the schedule is going to clear up here real quick. I think we're going to get knocked out of the Champions League, and I think the FA. I wouldn't fancy us away the Wolves on a Tuesday night after playing on Saturday because it's going to be a dicey enough team.
Right.
We know how important Firmino is.
Can we just
right?
can
I
we
think if
can we
Firmino,
no can we be can we just can we speak about nice things?
I am speaking about nice. That's where I'm heading
Bellingham
right now. I think. Yes, we can get Champions League. Yes, we can even win the Champions League. I think it's vitally important that Firmino is back because I think if you get Firmino back, it solves a lot of issues.
Can we speak about Bellingham? Can we speak about Bellingham?
We'll speak about your buddy in a minute.
Hey, I'm going to Vegas this weekend, so you want to put some quid
Going
on
to Vegas this weekend?
playing footy. So you want to put some quid?
No, hold on.
I wouldn't
You're
put
playing-
money on that. If
Okay, I'm just wondering. You
You're
want?
playing footy in Vegas.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fine.
finish the top four.
So you,
Not
if
if
you
I
want,
found
if you guys want to put any quid on any futures,
Not if I found money.
give me your money right now.
I would agree. I would struggle to say we're going to get top four, right? Just because I think the competition. I think Man United are looking really good. Man City will get top four. Arsenal will get top four, and then you're looking between Newcastle, Chelsea, us, Spurs for that spot, and then not and Newcastle. You would think with the lack of Europe as well. Do I think we can win the Champions League? Of course I do. I'm always going to think that, just based on our history and the quality of players that we have. We can still show up for massive games. And I feel like if we're going to put the classic eggs in one basket, our season is all about the Champions League now. It really is. Because I do see us struggling to get in top four.
Like, this is a different show. Are we going to sign Jude Bellingham or not? Because is this like the biggest tease ever? Do you know what I mean? Like,
We
you know,
will
you've been chatting some girl up for about 6
Yes,
months,
we will in
and like
summer.
all the shite that's gonna come, all the shite that's been happening, and it's like he's liked the tweet of this and he's doing that, and I know we're all.
What do you think?
Are we going to sign him? If we don't, genuinely feel like I'll need about 2 days to get over it. If he goes somewhere else, I'll be absolutely devil.
I think we'll sign him. I think the whole drama
I do.
is that we're trying to get him in January. That's obviously not going to happen. I think we'll sign him in the summer. Of course, we're trying to get him in January. Why would we, as a club that needs a freaking midfielder,
Yeah. Because Dortmund-
not try and sign him in January? Of course, we're trying to sign him in January.
Okay, we might be.
We probably won't.
We might be trying to sign him, but there's absolutely no chance that Dortmund are going to say, "Yes, sounds yeah, you can have a."
Of course, and we're not saying that, but we tried, and I think we'll get him in the summer.
I tried to on a date
Move
with
along,
Beyonce
Wilson.
once. Bloody hell.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Well, crack on.
We'll get him in the summer.
All right.
But if we don't, then I'm fucking disappearing for like a month.
Yeah.
Remember that.
So I don't know is the answer. I don't know whether we'll get him or we won't. Part of me thinks we will. Part of me has a hard time seeing us spend 100 and whatever million. The question then is like, well, who are we losing to fund the deal? But I think an interesting question to ask is, if we don't get him,
Am I going to be in my house down?
no, what genuinely, what's going, where do, like, you know what I mean? We need fresh blood. We need fresh young legs. If we don't get him, who's out there?
I like the Brighton fella. I like the Salcedo. I like him. He's a good player. And the problem with Brighton is they're really, really well run. So they're gonna want like massive wedge for him. I do like him though. He's a good player. And I didn't know anything about that Nunes
Wolves.
until we get interested in him. And I watched him against Villa. I like him. I know it's only one game. I think Villa are shit. Swore again. But I do like him. He's got a bit about him as well. There's a few that you can get. If you don't get him, it's not like the end of the. Well, yeah, it will be for a few days, but I still think there's enough half decent players out there. Liverpool's transfer record is incredible, isn't it? It's just weird that they've not got one. Not got one.
Would you say also? Yes, I mean Bellingham is it's one for the future, right? He's a young player.
For now, and the future, both.
He's both, yeah, but he's still one for the future. He's like, what, 19, 18, 19? If I was to look at a player, though, on the planet right now that could go straight into Liverpool's side, and I'm like, yes, this is the type of player we need, and he's going to be ready, it's Declan Rice.
I knew you were going to go there.
Because it's so obvious, isn't it? That's why.
Don't let's get the Irish fella to speak on that.
What do you think?
So
Yeah, we heard.
yeah, turncoat. Fuck. No, we won't go down that road. He's a good player, but
No, I'm just saying like he's English.
he's going to cost a lot of money. But I don't think he'll solve an awful lot of problems. I think if you put him in this current Liverpool side, you'd see a different Declan Rice. Now, I guess the counter argument to that is fucking West Ham aren't Man City, are they? And he's doing pretty well for them. So I get that. I feel that Liverpool need and have needed to sign a dynamic midfielder that can go past lads, that can break lines, and that scores a couple of goals. That to me is like, if you're going for a shotman list,
Which is what Keita should have been, right?
Yeah,
And
but
he
he's
hasn't
not.
been that player.
but he's not. And
We have, and Bellingham does that, right? But you still have the issue of, will we see Fabinho be the Fabinho last few seasons?
I think you come back.
Or do we need an
I
upgrade?
think
That's what we're looking at.
I'll put my neck out here. I'll put my neck on the line here, and I don't think we need an upgrade in that position for Fabinho. I think he's a cracking good player, but I think he needs legs around him, and I think right now he's no legs around him. He's been pulled left, right, centre, and he's getting found out, and I think that's having a knock-on effect then on the rest of the team, and I think we're struggling.
You know, we're all agreed that we probably need more than one midfielder, right? 2, 3, and a name that I like because I'm an American, Yunus Musa. But he grew up in the English system. You know, he could have played for England. He was on their youth teams, growing up. Plays for Valencia. Been rated one of the top 5 players under 21 for a couple years now. No, man. Not by me, but yeah, my word means a lot too, though. But he'd be on the cheap. It'd be like 20 million pounds, 25 million pounds. But it'd be another player that's young, dynamic, that can go box to box, because that's how he plays for the U.S. He goes box to box. He breaks up the plays, brings the ball out. I'm just saying that's a name that a lot of people don't realize that it's out there. There are young midfielders out there that, this Enzo Fernandez, like fucking 130 million for somebody that just. This is his first year as a starter. That's the kind of stuff that fans want to see, but they can't even balance their own checkbooks, and they want the club to spend that much money on somebody like that.
I want to, before I do,
Real quick,
go ahead.
Just because he brought up young midfielders.
Yeah.
And I will say this, though. I think we do have a good young midfielder. I'm going to butcher his name. The kid that scored against was a Villa. Yeah.
Yeah, the bet.
Yeah. Just footballer. He's a footballer, that fella. So if he progresses, there's one lad that you can kind of get in there. And I'd like to. I mean, we're not going to get any worse than we are now. I'd like to see Klopp fuck him in there, give him a fucking go, and see whether he has what it takes. And if he progresses, that's one name I think that could be decent. But yeah, anyway.
Well, you remember last year it was Tyler Morton, right? But they put him out on loan. I'm just saying. I think right. But I believe Bagzetic has more in the locker than Morton does.
So let's wrap this up, and we'll circle this all the way back to my question at the beginning. Did we need a midfielder or two in the summer?
Just a fucking stupid question, isn't it? We've just
No,
been through
no,
that.
it's really not. Did we need
Through
one?
it. But again, perspective. At that time, I said I felt like we had enough, but I would want one if it was the right one. So I'm not just wanting to sign someone just because. I'm not one of these little weirdos.
I don't think anyone feels that way. That we don't just want to
no,
sign
but
someone
it-
to sign one, but
no,
it was
but it
bloody
becomes-
obvious that when you
it just
get
becomes a
so
bit-
close to winning everything, based on history, Man City have done this, and Liverpool did this in the 80s. When you get so close, you build upon that. You don't stop. You take it to the next level. We didn't do that.
But I mean, I don't really get your point. We've already just been over it for the last 20 minutes. But like, yes, if you want me to say yes, we needed a midfielder. Yeah, we want a midfielder. But I don't want to just sign someone like Tillman just because he's a sexy name and people think he's good. Because John on Twitter thinks that we need to sign players because all he wants to do is sign players. I want to sign good players. I want good players to play for Liverpool. But I don't want to just sign people just for the sake of signing people. Ibra Kanate.
Agree.
Ibra
100%.
Kanate is the thing, but it's difficult to say, isn't it? I don't really know why you're asking the questions, but just trying to wind me up, isn't he?
So Harry Kane.
Yeah.
No. All right. Should we wrap this up? You want to end this?
Yeah, speechless, man. Just speechless. This conversation is speechless. Thank you for being here, Del Cross. Come back.
I will back.
You know,
Invite
we're
me back. I'll come back.
obviously this is a marketing ploy to get more people from Ireland to subscribe to our station. So I know you know everyone over there.
Oh, yeah.
What about
my
Pat?
island.
How about
My island.
Patty Power? Do you know Patty Power?
Power, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get him on.
All right, we need Patty Power on.
I already gave him a tip. You get on 11 to 10, Liverpool.
All right. Yeah. I've reached out to Patty Power again, so if anybody out there knows Patty Power, tell them we want him on our show. So thanks a lot. Subscribe, like, put the notifications on, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.